So this is the one documentation what I have defined. Either you can simply write anything here what you want. Okay, if you're gonna let one example for the user, okay, how you would be able to call the function. So just you can simply write this particular thing as well. So all these are the documentation you have set for your function. Okay, and now just you have to execute this shell. Okay, now you have successfully defined a function here. And now just you have to understand how you can simply execute, or instead of execute you can simply call, how you would be able to call a function in Python. So just you have to follow the path. Okay, what's your function name actually? So the function name is my func I have used here. Just, and you have to use a set of parentheses here. And now you can simply say this is a method to call your function in case of Python programming language. Just you have to pass a one set of parentheses. When I will try to execute my function, so it will give you one error here. Just look at this. Why it will give you the one error? Because you have defined a one optional argument. That's why it will give you the one error, because it will, you have missed a one required positional argument. The name of that argument is name. So that's why if you want to call the function, just you have to pass some sort of parameters here. So let me pass AD. So when I will pass this particular string here, so this particular string will consider inside the name variable. Okay, this value has been initialized inside the name variable. Once your function will be execute, so only this statement will execute from here. And when this statement will execute here, so it will print a hello message, hello AD, and the good morning. Just look at this, execute the same statement again, and you will get the same message, hello AD, good morning. Okay, either why I'm using the functions, because whenever you want to send a one good morning message to anybody, so you don't have to write this statement again and again. Just you have to call my fun, and you can simply pass another name here. Just if I'm going to pass a one name Ritika, so when I will use this function, when I'm going to execute this function here, so what happens? So it will hello Ritika, good morning. So just you have to pass a argument, and according to the argument your output will be changed. So that's why we are using a functions here. So you don't have to write the same piece of code again and again. Okay, and now the example, okay, this is a function, right? And now let's suppose if user don't know how a user would be able to use your function, so on that point just you can simply use a help document. Okay, and where, how, which type of text a user will get when a user will type your function inside the help function. So whatever you have set in the doc string, so that was actually a help page you have decided for your function. Just look at this. So this is the function method how you'd be able to call, and now this is a help page. This function is my function to the person passed in the as a parameter, and this is the one example. So this is a documentation, guys. And now the point, if you will not set any documentation, okay, which type of documentation? Let's suppose I'm going to create a one more function. Okay, I didn't define any parameter, just it, what it will do, hi all from hello. This is what I have defined. This is a very basic function. If you want to call, just you can simply call, use this method. This is a way. If you want to take a help, just if you want to take a help in hello function, and now you will get nothing in help, just only you will get the function name, because you didn't define the doc string here. So that's why if you want to take a help inside any function, so you have to define the doc string there. And how it is not mandatory, okay, but if you want to define a help, that will be a better approach to create your program. This is only print hi. Okay, this is the one documentation I have said, done, execute, no effect. When you're gonna print again the hello, and now this is the one help a user would be able to see when a user wants to take a help along with your function. So that's how the documentation is work, and that's how you would be able to execute a normal function without an argument as well. Okay, let me move forward to the next point. So how to call a function? Just I have told you, if you're going to call a same my function along with a Sachin argument, if I'm going to call the same function along with a different argument, according to the parameter what I have passed inside my function, the behavior of a function will be changed according to the parameter whatever you have passed inside your function. So that's why you are using a function here. And now if you want to know more about the doc string, okay, this is just a one theoretical, you can simply read out. Okay, either sometime if you want to print the only doc string here, so whenever what you want to use here, so this is just one example. Okay, so if you don't want to use a help function, just you can also use this doodle method, right? And now what is a doodle method? Just I have already told you, if you want to check it out inside any function, So these are the multiple functions you will define inside the list, what you can simply use along with the list object. And some only you have used right these methods, but these are also the doodles method you can also use. Okay, so this is a one method name as underscore underscore doc. So if you want to print the only documentation of any function, thus we can simply print the documentation using this method. And now this method is called using this. So that's how it works. And now when you have totally understand about the function, okay, you have understand the syntax of the function, how you would be able to define a function here. So now we have to move on to a one return statement. What is actually a return statement? So return statement is used to exit a function and go back to the place from where it was called. Okay, so what does it mean? Let's suppose I'm going to share the one thing here to understand the return statement. So let's suppose I'm going to define a one function here, hello. Okay, or either you can also take a different example first. Now I'm going to take a skill center, my bad. So I'm going to create a one function here. So now what do you want to do? Let's suppose I want to print a one statement, hi line one. Okay, that's cool, there's a no issue. And I want to print a one more line and one more line, that's cool. Now the point is, when I have defined this function successfully, there's a no issue inside the function. When I'm going to call my function here, so just look at this, you will get the same type of output multiple times. Either you can simply look like this method, done, and you will get the interface here. You can call your function multiple times, you will get the same type of input, there's a no issue. Just look at this, line 1, line 2, 1, 3, line 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's a no issue. Now the point is, let's suppose what happened if I'm gonna call a one statement as well, function calling. Okay, so here, so this I'm calling a function here. Once I have called my function successfully, I'm gonna print a one more statement, function and success, or either just function ending. Okay, so I have written a three statement, the first statement, second and third. So in second statement, I'm trying to call my function. So first of all, when you will execute this particular shell, so first of all, it will print the function calling. Once it will execute the first statement, it will execute the second statement. When it will execute the second statement, so directly it will go from here to here. Okay, and now because you have defined your functions here, and inside the functions we have write three statements, now it will execute serial wise. Once your function has been finished, so directly it will go to the next statement from where you have function you call. So because from second statement you have called your function, once the function is exit, now it will execute the remaining statement, that will be a line number 3. So that's how it works. So let me clear these notations and let me execute my function here. Just look at this. So first of all, the function calling, okay, after that line 1, 2, 3, and at the end it will call the function ending. The point is, we were discussing about the return statement. Okay, so return is a statement, and why we are using, let's suppose, took one example to understand the return statement. I'm going to show the one more example. Let's suppose I'm going to use a one function here, def. Oh, the function is used for add numbers, right? Which type of numbers? I'm going to define two numbers, b is equal to 20, and now it will print the numbers a is equal to b. Okay, so that's what I have done. Let me execute my function, guys. What I will do, just I'm gonna use a one method here. I'm gonna print the x. So just, and now make it, the section is interactive, and now just let me know what the value of x you will get when I'm gonna execute this shell. Drop your message into the chat box. When I will execute this function, this statement, what I have selected, so what the value I will get. Okay, the total value what I will get when I'm gonna execute these statements. Okay, there's some issues. Error 30301020. Okay, you have confused too much. Don't worry. So, okay, so let me show. The point is, okay, we didn't write any return statement until yet. So try to understand the basic things here. So when I will execute this statement, right? When I'm going to execute my add function. So once the add function has been executed, so it will execute the line number first of this line. Okay, you have initialized a one variable, you have successfully initialized a second variable, that's cool. And now when the both line has been executed, so it will execute the third line, and inside the third line you have used a print statement, right? You have used a print function. When this function will be executed, it will print 30. Okay, just look at this. And now the point is, when the function is exit, you don't return anything to the user. Okay, so on that case, it will return a one none statement here. Okay, so it will return a one none. A none has been stored inside the x, and now when the second statement will be execute, so the value of the x will be none. Okay, so let me execute. So that's why. So here I'm going to execute and just look at this. So the first of all, you will get the 30 because the statement have executed line number fourth. Okay, and now when you are trying to print x here, so it will give you the none because you don't return anything from add function. That's why the x is initialized but with the value of the none. So the point is, if you want to return something from your function, if you want to return a plus b, or either instead of print statement, if I'm going to mention a plus b, and instead of return ab, I'm going to return the c here. That's how a return statement is work. So your function will be terminate on line number 5, and it will return the value of c as well. Now the point is, if you're gonna execute your program, so the add function has been called. So when you will call a add function, okay, so it will give you the one return statement and the value of the c, and that particular value has been stored inside the x. And now let me execute the whole statement again, and now only you will get the 30. So that's how it works. When a function will return any statement, if you will not store that particular statement, okay, so on that point it will not print anything on top of console. To understand this concept, so let me open the one Visual Studio Code as well, because sometimes the user will be confused using functions when I'm gonna write inside the Jupyter. So I'm gonna take a moment for that, guys. This is a very important topic, functions, right? You will use this particular topic in each and every place, either if you are learning a machine learning, if you are learning anything, whatever, you want to define some functions there. Okay, and you have to understand the logic, how you'll be able to call all these functions in a different environment as well. So I'm gonna close, don't save, that's cool. So let me create a one file, myfunc.py, and inside this I'm gonna define a one function here. So what function? You can simply define any function here. So let me define a function named add. The same function I'm going to use. A is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. I'm going to use the print statement. Just look at carefully. I have mentioned a print statement, a plus, either I can simply use this method, don't be confused, or I can simply print the c value. That's cool. Now that's what I have defined here. When I'm going to execute this program, so let me execute the program here. So this is a method, myfunc. So when I will execute my program, you will not get anything here. Okay, just you will get the empty, because you didn't call your function until yet. Okay, you have to call your functions to get output. So I have called my function add one time. So I'm gonna save and execute, and just look at this, you will get the 30. If you're gonna call a function 2 times, 3 times, so you will get the same value again and again, again and again. 30, 30, 30, 30. That's how it works. Now the point is, in case of print statement, I have used a print statement inside the function, but sometime I don't want to print the values to the user, but I just want to calculate the numbers. On that point, just if you will not use any print statement there, I'm gonna mention a return. So what does it mean? When a function will terminate number 6, so it will return something to the user from where you have called your function. Okay, so when I will execute this particular program, if you are whatever you are expecting here, so when I'm going to execute this program, so you will get empty, you will get nothing on top of your terminal. Just look at this. Why? What's the reason behind this? Because when you are trying to call a function, so yep, the function has been called successfully, there's a no error. Okay, when at the end of the function, it will try to return the value of c, but you didn't store the value of c anywhere, because just you have called your function. there's a two method to solve this problem. Okay, just you can store the value what when you will try to call your function. In response, it will return the value of c. Just you can simply store the value of c inside the x or whatever variable you can simply define here. Or and now you can simply define the sum as well. Okay, and just you can simply call the value of sum later. And now that's how you can simply use, and let me execute the same program again. You will get the 30. Instead of written two statement, guys, you can also use a one single statement to solve this problem. Just you can simply call your function inside the print, because when you will call the same function inside the print, okay, when the function has been called, so it will return a one value, right? And that particular value has been passed inside the print function, and directly print function will print that particular value on top of your terminal. So that's how the different method to execute your functions. Hopefully you got the idea, right? Now the point is, there's a one more thing you have to understand when you will discuss about the return, right? So right now the return is returning the value of the c, whatever you have defined inside the c. But let's suppose if I'm going to define a one more thing here, so I'm going to mention the return high. Okay, so I'm trying to return one more value here, or either I'm trying to return a one more value. What value? High. Okay, so this is a one thing what I have defined here, guys. And just don't to worry about this, these are the commented line. Okay, so what I have done, just I have defined a one function add here. Okay, I have write two return statement inside my function. Now when I will execute my program, okay, just let me know. Now it's your turn. So what you are expecting here in result when I'm going to execute my program, so what you will get in output? Just drop your answers in chat box, guys. I'm waiting. Hi. Okay. Okay, some of users have been sent high and 30, but there's a one statement I have told you guys, if you had remember. So the return statement is used to exit a function and go back to the place where it was called, right? So when you're gonna use a multiple return statement, so but only the point is when the first statement of your function will be executed, okay, so your program will be terminate on the first line. Okay, the remaining lines or remaining statement of your function will not be executed. Okay, that's how the functionalities of work written. Okay, that's how the return statement is work inside the function. So when I'm going to execute this function, only you will get the high, because your function will be terminate on line number first. It will not execute the remaining statement of your function. So that's how the return is work. Okay, but if you want to return multiple statements, so just you can simply use the yield here. Okay, we will learn about the yield later. Okay, this is the one statement you can also use, and now it will create a one generators. So we will discuss this particular concept in further classes. So that's how the functions are work, guys. And now let me move back to the point. Now we have to discuss about the functions argument, and let me open the one notebook related to that. Okay, this is the one things what I have defined here. You have syntax of return. Just if you want to check it out, there's a multiple conditions I have used. You can simply check out the examples. This is a one function I have defined absolute value. This is a doc string I have defined. Whenever I'm gonna call my function, just I have to pass a one single argument. Okay, and now this is a mandatory argument I have passed. You can also pass a optional argument as well. Okay, you can simply pass the default argument as well. So we will learn that particular things in few minutes. Okay, just you have to wait for that. What I have done, just I'm trying to define some basic if else statement. If my value is greater or equal to the 0, it will return the num as it is. If the value is less than 0, so it will return the num but multiply by minus. Okay, so that's how you will get the absolute value using the functions. When I'm trying to call my function and I'm gonna pass 2 here, so what it will, just look at this, it will give you the 2 as it is. When you will pass absolute value function again and you have passed a -4, again you will get the absolute value of -4. So that's how it works. And the how functions work in Python, this is the one basic structure I have written here. Okay, if you have written define a function here, so this is the first line of your function and second line, right? And this is your main code. This is the first second line of your main code, third line, and once the function has been executed, so directly it will go and it will execute all the statement of your function. And when the function is exit, so directly it will go to the point where the function has been called. So that's how the function's lifetime is work. Let me clear the notations again. Just give me a bit. That's good. And you will, when you will discuss about the scope and the lifetime of the variable, okay, when you will discuss about the function, okay, there's a two type of variable you have to discuss: the local variable and the global variable, right? And now there's a one more variable you have to discuss, that will be a non-local variable. Okay, if you're going to define a function inside a function, then you have to use a one more term called as a non-local variable. But right now, just you have to understand what is actually a local variable and what are the global variable. What is the scope of variable, whatever you are using here. So just try to understand these statements, what I have written here. So just look at the line number one. Just I have defined a one function, name is my func, right? And now when I have successfully defined a function here, just in the second statement, in the first statement of my function, I have initialized a one value inside the x. And now this is done. In the second statement, just I'm trying to print the value of my x using the print function. Whenever I'm gonna call this my function here, so it will always execute the function and it will print the value of x. Now the point is, this is a normal method what I have done. So I have defined the value of x at one more time, but now this particular x I have defined in global statement. Okay, this is the main body of your program, and that particular line you have considered, you have defined inside the function. Now the point is, just first of all, when I'm going to execute my this particular shell, so it will execute the first statement, and now after that it will execute the fifth line, right? Because only here you have defined your function. When the fifth line will be executed, right now you have defined the value of x is 20. And once the fifth line has been executed, it will execute the line number 6, and then it will execute the function on line number 6. When this particular line has been executed, it will go from here to here. Okay, and now you are trying to define the value of x is 10, and it will print the value. It will also execute the first line and the second line. Once the second line execute, first of all, so you will get the value of the x is 10. Okay, now once the function is exit, so it will execute the remaining part. Now the point is, when this particular line will be executed, so it will also print the value of x. Now the challenge is, it will print the value of the x from the outside or the inside. That's the point what you have to understand, because this is a global variable you have defined, and that particular variable is a local variable of that function. So this particular value, it will print the value is 20. It will not print the value of x10, because the value of the x is 10 only consider inside the function body. That's how the scope of the functions, scope of the variable work inside the functions. So let me clear this thing and let me execute your program. So first of all, you will get 10 because you have called your function first. After that, you will get the 20. Just look at this, value inside the function is 10 and value outside the function is 20. And now sometimes a user might be confused in this concept. Let's suppose there's a multiple method you're gonna use here. So the point is, let's suppose sometime you want to change the value of your global variable from inside the function as well. So on that point, just you need to use a one variable. What variable you're gonna use? Global. So I have used a, sorry, my bad. So just you have to use a one keyword for that, and the keyword name is global. And using the global keyword, just you can define the value of x. Now what you have done here, so let's suppose if I'm gonna print the value of x one more time, just give me one time. That's cool. So just try to understand what I have done. So first of all, I have used a one value, and what does it mean? This is a one keyword I have used, global, and global keyword is used inside the functions to define the global variable from the local scope. So first of all, line number 6 will be executed. Once you have initialized 20 inside the x, you are trying to print the value of the x, and now that's fine. It will print the 20. That's cool. Now it will execute the line number 8. When the line number 8 will be executed, it will directly go to the line number 2nd. And now here you have defined the x global way, and now it will change the value of the x10. And now what it will do for you, it will print the value inside the function is still 10, Now, when the last statement will be executed of your function, so it will print the value of the x10, not the 20, because you have used a global scope there. That's when I'm going to execute. Just look at this 20, 10, 10. Okay. And what happened if I'm going to comment this particular line? Just I have comment this line, and what you will get? So you will get 20, 10, 20. So that's how it's work, guys. Just you can simply use a global keyword to define a global variable form inside the function as well. Okay. So this is a method you want to use here. So just you can simply read all these things I have written in. So there's a type of functions I have told you, built-in functions, the user-defined function. If you will discuss about the built-in, so there are some sort of built-in functions I have defined. Print, range, type, input is instant. Okay, this is a one pretty function you can simply use to check if the object of the instant of the class or not. Len function, max, enumerate. So all these are the functions you can simply use. And we have already discussed about the user-defined functions. What are the advantages of user-defined function? Just you can simply decompose your large problem into the small segment and the blah blah blah. Okay, that's how you're gonna use a user defined function here. And there's a one pretty example one I have defined here. This is a one function I have defined and pass two number of arguments. Just it will execute the sum of both numbers and it will return the statement. And that's how it will work. Let me execute and you will get the output. So, okay, now let me open a one another notebook to understand the advanced concept of the functions. Okay, how many ways you wanna pass your argument inside the functions. So I'm gonna save this notebook and let me open the function arguments. Okay. So here, when we will discuss about the function argument, guys, so just you have to follow some sort of parameters in case of function arguments. So first of all, you have to understand what is actually argument. So arguments are nothing, just whenever you will call a function using the set of parentheses, just whatever you wanna pass inside the parenthesis, that particular thing is called as a argument, right? So if you had remember, just when you will call a append function of the list, right? So here just we have to pass a one number of argument. Okay, that particular argument will be, if you will not pass that argument, so you will get a error. Just it will need an argument. So, okay, you will not be able to execute this function without an argument. So that's how you will get error here. So the point is, just I have defined a one function here. Let me clear the all outputs. That's cool. So I have defined a one function named grid. Okay. And inside this function, just I have passed a two number of argument. The first name is name and just the second one is message. There's a multiple things you have to remember when you will using the argument inside the function. The first thing, just you have to understand the sequence, in which sequence you have passed your argument. If first of all you have passed the name and in the second you have passed the message, just you have to understand and just you have to remember the sequence, in which sequence you have passed your arguments. And now this is a one doc. Okay, this is a function doc. It will not print anything. It will print when you will call a help function along with that. And now this is the main line of your function which will execute, and now it will print the hello. After that it will print the name. Okay, just I have used multiple plus and blah blah. And after that at the end it will print the message, what message you have passed along with the function. So when I'm gonna execute my function here, just look at this. So the Preeti, when I will pass as a first argument of my function, and good morning I have passed as a second argument as my function. So the Preeti will be initialized inside the name and the good morning will be initialized inside the message as a sequence in which I have passed. And just look at this, hello Preeti and the good morning. If you will pass, if you're gonna call your function without any argument, just you will receive a one pretty error, and the error is nothing. Just you have missed a two required positional argument. The first one is name and the message. And if you will pass your function, if you will call your function again with a one argument and the name, you can use anyone. Okay, so just you will still get the error because you have required a one positional argument that will be a message, because you have already passed a Sachin and Sachin has been initialized inside the name. So that's how it works. You have to pass two number of arguments here always when you will call this function. Okay, if I'm gonna call my function again, okay, and I'm gonna pass good evening. Okay, you can pass anything what you want. So hello Sachin, this is a one method what I have used here. The point is, if I'm going to change a sequence, okay, so it will not affect the sequence. Okay, now the point is you will get a one different output here. Let's suppose I'm going to pass a good morning here first. Okay, and the in second argument I'm going to pass my name. So just what I have done, just I have changed the sequence of my argument, but it will not affect the function. But the point is you will get a wrong output. Hello, good morning, 80 grand, because just you have to understand the sequence. But you can also change the sequence, guys. But if you want to change a sequence, just you have to use a different type of argument there. You would not be able to use as normal arguments there, right? So that's how you're gonna work. So the point is, let's suppose this is a one example when you will call grid, and now it will give you the error. It will give you the error as well. Just I have write down these multiple terms to understand the error. Excuse me. So to understand the error as well, just I have used this particular statements here. Let me move forward. So what is actually a default argument, right? Just look at this concept. Let's suppose just I have create a one function here. The function could be anything, right? If you want add multiple numbers, if you want to subtract or a division, if you want to do manipulation in your string, it's your choice. The point is, let's suppose if you want to manipulate something, if you want to add a two numbers, so I'm going to pass two string here. So what it will do for you, just it will add the two number, and after that it will print the sum of both numbers. But the point is, but the challenge is, when you will call this function, just you have to pass two number of arguments. If you will not pass, so you will get an error. Okay, you know very well, just you will get an error. Two required positional argument is missing. If you will pass a one argument here, so still you will get the error, one is missing. Okay, so here just you can simply use a default arguments. And if you want to set a default argument, there's some sort of rules you have to understand on that case. Okay, and what are the rules you have to understand on that case? When you are trying to create a default argument, just you have to create your arguments from right to left side. Because the point is, let's suppose if I will call my add function using a one argument, right? I have just passed 100. So it should not give me an error. Just it can simply print the 100 because the sum of 100 is 100. But what happens? So, but my function will give me the one error because you have missed a one argument. So on that point, just I can simply define a one default argument. So just I have defined the value of the b is 0. Okay, so now this particular argument is called a default argument. And now the point is, you have to write your default argument from right to left. What does it mean? Let me explain. Just you have to wait for that. So I have execute this shell again, and the shell execute again. Oops, 120. You will get the 120 here. When I will call my function along with my first argument, just 50, and just look at this, you will not get any error because it will consider the value of the b is 0. But if you will pass the value of the second argument, on that time it will change. Now when you will pass the second value, so that particular value will be initialized inside the b, and the value of the b will be changed, and that particular value will become 20 instead of 0. If you passed only a one argument, on that time the value of the b is still 0. It will add 0 inside 50. Just look at the formula, and it will give you the 50. But the point, because you have only used a one default argument, but you cannot, at least you have to pass one number of argument. Just look at this. You have missed the both arguments, but it will not give you the error for both. Only it will give you the error for one positional requirement argument, that will be a. So either you can simply define both the argument as a default argument, that's working fine, there's a no issue. Just look at this 50. If you will pass add function right now, it will give you the 0. Yeah, that's look good, that's good, pretty. If you're gonna pass 120, it will give you the sum. If you're gonna pass, that's working fine. But the point is, if I want to create a default argument function, but what happened, I will use a one method. What's the method? I have create my first argument as a default, and I have just left my second argument as let it be. This is a wrong syntax. This is an invalid syntax, what I have told you. Just you have to follow the path from right to left. So if you're gonna use this method, it will give you the error. because you cannot create a first argument of your function as a default. You can create your all arguments, but just you have to start your arguments from the right to left. So that's a syntax you have to follow, guys. Now hopefully you got the idea, and now this is what I have defined here for the default argument. This is a one thing, name and the masses, and now that's how it works. Okay, just if you will pass AD, though it will take the masses good morning default. If you will pass the Manish and you have passed a second argument, how do you do? So it will change the value of the masses and you will get the same object here. So that's how it works. And now there's a one more thing you have to pass. Now the point is, let's suppose you have a two arguments here. There's a no issue. Okay, just you have good morning and the name or blah blah blah, all these things. But the point is, sometimes you want to change the sequence of your passing number of argument. If you want to pass a arguments here and you want to change the sequence of your arguments, so on that point just you have to use a keyword argument there. Okay, and to pass your keyword argument, just you have to follow the keywords. And what will be the method? So this is a one method. It will give you the error because you are trying to create your first argument as a default. This is an invalid syntax. So actually, what are the keywords arguments? When you will understand about the keywords argument, so this is a one example. So just what I have done. So the point is, I'm gonna create the same function, and now this is a function now what I have defined. Let me define the same function here. Okay, let me remove this particular thing. This is not a mandatory thing, and now that's how it's worked. Let me remove all these things as well. So I have defined my function greet, and the first argument name and the second argument is masses. The point, when you will pass both the keywords, right? What I have done, just when I'm trying to call my function greet, along with a value, just I have passed a one key as well. What's the key I have passed? Name. The point is, when you will trying to pass the keys along with the values, just you can simply change the sequence of your function as well. Okay, you would not be that particular value will be fixed on that particular key. Either you can also change the sequence. It will not affect the values of the function. So just look at this. When I will execute my first statement, what I have written here, I have passed Sachin inside the name, and I have passed this message inside the message. So it will print the hello Sachin, how do you do? According to this particular syntax, right? Inside the name, it will print the Sachin. Inside the message, it will print the how do you do. The second thing, just look at the statement, second statement, great. Okay, and now I have passed a masses keyword first. Just I have changed the sequence of my variable. I have changed the sequence of my arguments. So the first of all, I'm trying to print the masses, and the second, I'm trying to print the value name is Sachin. So still you will get the same output. There's a no issue inside that. Okay, so the third thing, the point is, what I have done, just I'm trying to pass a search in here, and the masses I'm trying to find how do you do. So now it will give you the same thing, because you can also pass first argument as a positional, and you can simply pass a later argument as a keyword as well. Okay, and to understand this concept, but you cannot use this method, guys. You cannot pass your first arguments as a keyword and the later one as a normal method. You will get the error. Because to understand this method, just I have told you the one print function as well at multiple times, because these arguments are called the default and the keywords argument, right? When you are trying to print something inside the print function. Okay, so sometime if you want to print hi all, if you want to print a one more statement, okay, the point, both the statement will into the next line, right? But if you want to change the one value for the end for only this print, just you can simply pass the keyword. Because if you will not follow the syntax, if you will not write the end here, because it will use a normal method, so the second value whatever you're gonna pass will be considered inside the values. So that's why if you want to change the value of sep, you have to use a keyword. If you want to change the value of end, just you have to use a keyword. What the value I'm going to decide, I'm going to mention the double space, or I'm going to mention the \t, which is considered as a back skip sequence, and it is used for the tab space. And now just look at this, you will get the both values inside a one line. Just you have add a one tab here. If you want to add a multiple tab, that's how it works. Let me execute. This is a method, guys, how you would be able to use your keyword argument into a different statement or into a inbuilt functions, whatever you have already defined. Okay, and now there's a one more type of argument you have to understand. Python arbitrary arguments. Okay, in this type of argument, just you have to understand, the point is to understand this type of argument. Let's suppose you have to create a one function to add the values, right? And the values could be multiple. The point, you are trying to create a one functions to add the sum of all values. To add the all values, just you are trying to use a one pretty method. So let's suppose you will consider three number of arguments or four number of arguments. Okay, on that point, if you want to print the sum of all values, you can simply use this method. Okay, sum, and you can simply add all the values at the end, just you can simply print the value sum. That's cool. But the point is, if you will call your function, if you will pass a one value, so I want to create a function which will manage n number of values. Okay, when you're going to pass a n number of values inside the function, you will get the sum of all values. But in this way, just exactly you have to pass three number of arguments, otherwise you will get the error. Just look at this, right? So but the point is, just I can simply use this method, and now it will give you the 16. But you cannot pass a extra value here. If you will pass a one extra value, so you will get an error, because it will only take three arguments, but you are passing the four arguments. But the point is, if you want to handle the n number of argument, there you're gonna use a arbitrary arguments. So on that point, just which type of function you're gonna create, just here, just you can simply mention the asterisk here. Along with the asterisk, just you can simply define a and whatever you want to define. So the point is, now this particular, what method I have used, this particular method is called a arbitrary arguments. And now it will take all the values whatever you're gonna pass here. Okay, and now it will store all the values inside the tuple. Okay, now the x is become tuple. If you want to print the data type of this particular x, just you can simply pass. I'm gonna comment, that's cool. So just what I will do, so I will execute this function. Just look at this, it will print the tuple, because the x will, now the x is a tuple, right? Now if you want to add the numbers, just you can simply use a one pretty method for that. What method, what I'm gonna use, I'm gonna consider for I in x, and I will add all the values inside the sum. So that's how you can simply use this method, guys. Now the point is, how many numbers of values you wanna pass. Always you will get the sum for all values. Even you will pass a one value, still you will get the sum. Okay, if you will pass the two values, that's cool, there's a no issue. You can pass n number of values right now, and you will get the sum of all value. That's how you can simply use the arbitrary arguments. Because when you will use the asterisk here, so this particular asterisk will create a tuple value here. Okay, as some of users want to use a args here, just you can simply use any name. That was actually a name. Okay, because you can also type the arg here, just you can simply type any name. That was actually a normal identifier you have to use. Okay, there's a no issue, right? Because all the numbers are the integer. Yeah, if you want to pass in one string here, always you will get a one error, because you would not be able to add the string along with the integer. So that was a normal common sense, right? Just this is a method, guys. And now there's a one more type of arbitrary arguments you're gonna use. Okay, just I have removed from here, but this is a one more type of arbitrary arguments you're gonna use. And that particular argument, you can, if you had heard about the quarks, right? So, and how that particular method will look like, so let me show you. Hello. Okay, just you have to use a double arguments. You can write anything. If you don't want to write this syntax, just you can double x. That's cool. Just you can simply print the double x here. So when you will use a double asterisk here, so now it will behave like a dictionary. Whenever you're gonna call a hello function, if you're gonna call it 10, so it will give you the error, because always you have to use the values into a pair. Now which type of pair I'm talking about, this type of pair I'm talking about. So always you have to consider all the values inside a pair. So just I'm trying to pass first pair and the second pair inside the hello function, and now both the values will consider inside the dictionary, and now you will get a one dictionary here. That's how it's works. So these arguments are also called the arbitrary arguments. Either you can simply pass a one asterisk, you will get the values in tuple. If you're gonna use a double asterisk, you will get the values inside the dictionary. Okay, and now the time is up, guys. Okay, we'll discuss about the recursion later. Just I'm gonna leave for right now. If you have any doubt, just you can let me know. I'm gonna share these notebooks in Workspace later once the class is finished. Okay, Just drop your doubts, guys. I'm waiting for your chat box. Okay, how do you access the list using star? Actually, that was not a list. That particular thing is a tuple. And if this particular thing is a tuple, just you can simply fetch the values using the for loop. We have already learned about, because tuple is a iterable sequence, right? You can simplify the values from the tuple using a normal for syntax. Okay, this is actually another thing, but in this program, what I have done, that's the same thing what I have done here. Can we use the same variable in two different functions? Yep, you can also use the same variable in two different functions, guys. Okay, I'll try to create a one GitHub wrapper, and I will push all the codes there. I'll try to do that once I will get the time. Okay, any doubt? We have to define the variable at global level. Yeah, if you want to define some few variables at the global level, actually, whatever you want to define at a zero indentation, okay? If you will not give any space here, that particular thing will be defined as a global variable. And whatever you're going to define inside a function, all these variables are considered as a local variable. And inside the function, if you want to define a global variable, then you have to use a global keyword. And the sometime, and now just you have to read it yourself. If you want to define a function look like this, either you can create a function inside the function, and now just we have to learn the one more term called non-local. Okay, just you have to do it yourself. What is actually non-local, how you would be able to create a function, nested function. So this is the one normal homework you can simply do it yourself. Okay, so you can also use a one non-local terms to define your variable. So what does it mean? Just you have to do it yourself. To make, there's a one more doubt, we have to define if variable at a global, how to make it variable in two different functions. Now the point is, if you're gonna create a variable as a global, okay, and now the point is, there's a one thing you have to understand, guys. But sometime a user might be will get a one error. Let's suppose x is equal to 10, and I'm going to define a one function here. Whatever function I'm going to define, just look at the carefully. Hello. Okay, and now what you are trying to consider, so you are trying to print the value of x, and you are trying to assign the value. And now that's now when I'm going to execute this program, okay, so what you are expecting here, so you will get the error. Which error? The unbound local error. No, this is a very pretty simple error what I'm getting here, because the point is this is a unbound local error. Why I am getting this error? Because you have initialized the value of x is 10. That's cool, there's a no issue. This is a global variable. Okay, global variable. And now this is a, all three lines are considered inside the local scope, right? All three value are the local scope, inside the local scope. Now the point is, when you are trying to print the value of x, but the point, first of all you are trying to print the value of x, and later you have defined the value of x. That's why you will get the error, because you have defined the value of x, and now it would not be able to understand which value it should be print. Because if you will not define this statement, okay, just I have removed this statement from here, now it will work fine, there's a no issue. You will get the 10 10, okay, from both of time. But the point, if you will not, if you will return this statement before the printing your statement, there's a no issue, still you will get the 2020, no doubt. But if you will pass this statement between the statement, just you have to write a one statement here. For that, just you have to create x is global, and now it will work fine, there's a no issue. That's how it works. So hopefully you got the idea. Now let me wrap up this time, guys. Sorry, my bad. I may wrap up this class and see you next class at the same time. And I will share all these PDF or the notebooks in the Slack workspace later. Goodbye. First guys, one meeting.